Hi friends, good morning, shalom, sat sri akal, namaste, ni hao. Again, too many issues are there to be discussed at one time, and it is really difficult to sit down and write down about all these issues in one place. So, the only viable option before me is a video response. Firstly, I'll deal with the issue of a symbol of federation as individual. Well, here in Pakistan, the misconception is that an individual can be a chain between all the federal units. We call these federal units here as provinces. Well, that is impossible. Individual cannot be a symbol of federation. We have the book called Constitution. That is a chain between the provinces that guarantees that the Constitution guarantees the unity of federation. Uh, and our practices in accordance with the Constitution that guarantees the unity of federation. Recently, the issue was raised by a very brilliant and learned friend who is graduate from London School of Economics as well. Uh, and I know that everyone in subcontinent is worried, especially politicians and learned beings. We all have specializations in different fields. And being citizens of Pakistan and India, we are too much worried about our political systems. So, firstly, while making that my first concern clear that no individual can be a chain between provinces of a federation. The basic chain is constitution, and every individual who practices in spirit in letter and spirit of the constitution, in accordance with the letter and spirit of the constitution, that individual strengthens this chain between federating units of Pakistan and India as well, or anywhere else. America is also a federation. That is a very classic example. And as I have narrated to my friend in written words that Pakistan's constitution is, I mean, this conglomeration of American Constitution, of British Constitution, which is mostly unwritten, but that parliamentary system of government has been, that idea has been incorporated here in Pakistan's constitution. And then French constitution is also reflecting itself in constitution of Pakistan. Some ideas are being taken from that constitution as well. And now the problem is that we are a federation. In federation, that presidential form of government that works well because America is a model before us, United States. And there, in US Federation, presidential form of government is working well. Electoral college is important in a federation. America's federation is unique in a way that founding fathers of America, they were looking for a system in which they can save the people from tyranny and oppression of all sorts. And for people of subcontinent, the new thing is, though I have discussed this earlier but never in that detail, that majority can be tyrant as well, so, and oppressive too. So in United States of America, through electoral college, that check upon majority, and through judicial review, that check upon majority has been imposed. Judicial review, through power of judicial review, US Supreme Court can check the legislation done in House of Representatives and Senate. So, through the power of judicial review, the US Supreme Court determines the constitutionality of the laws made by American legislature. So by this way, through the power of judicial review, Supreme Court is exercising a sort of check upon majority. Well, to be concerned, being a literate person, about anomalies present here in our political systems, or sensitized about these issues. If few people are in this state of mind, that does not help. Constitutionalism is a way of life, and if all the citizens are aware of their constitutional rights, then, and duties as well, then they can move forward. Then we can move forward towards achievement of those noble objectives set before us by United Nations, by UN Charter. We have incorporated those fundamental rights clauses of UN Charter into our constitutions, and UN monitor, the monitoring system is there. So United Nations, they monitor that practices of our governments, of all the member countries, whether they are giving fundamental rights to their people or not, and then deals with us accordingly. If our leadership is good and they are good in giving fundamental rights to the people, and if people are also doing their duties in accordance with the constitution, then United Nations do take such countries seriously. They do fund them more and all that. Their concerns are being addressed on priority basis in United Nations. Whenever these Pakistani friends, politicians especially when a general comes in politics, then they, we are journalists and some of them are more educated among us. So to me, their stress that talked about Kashmir issue and try to come up with a solution of it and all that. All our issues, including Kashmir, will be automatically resolved once we start practicing our leadership and our people start practicing constitution. If we the limits set regarding our rights and duties within our constitutions, and if our political leadership starts giving us our fundamental rights, then the problem is automatically resolved. If people in Kashmir, if they get their civil, political and economic rights, the problem is resolved. They are free then. The UN version of freedom is that all those are free who are getting their fundamental rights. Well, all other elusive movements and ideologies regarding freedom, they lead towards slavery. If somebody is trying to impose his own ideas upon people and giving them guns to fight for his version of freedom, which he thinks that because of his little knowledge or probably is trying to befool the people through in the name of religion or in the name of country. And interestingly, every religion approves the fundamental rights of the people, including Islam. Rather, Islam goes one step ahead because that last sermon of Hujjatul Wida of Holy Prophet, if we read that sermon carefully, we will come to know that that was a charter in itself regarding fundamental rights of the people and equality of the humanity. So, and same is the case with Christianity and with Jews, even Hindus, Hindu religion. If you study Gita, you will come to know that they are very human and humanity-loving practices are being advised to the people. Except Chanakya, his ancient philosophy, which teaches thuggery and cruelty and cruelty, revenge and all that. And we have to dig into his origin, that how can he be so cruel being Hindu, because Hindu is a religion of vegetarians and pacifists. So that Chanakya's philosophy does not match the Hindu religion. And so we just have to make our systems, political systems, more workable, and we have to make aware our populace regarding their fundamental rights and duties as well as citizens. And that's it. And once our political system is smooth, then we are saved. I mean, with bombs and bullets and with big armies, we cannot keep our states intact. Actual national security element, a pivotal one, is our population. If they are happy with us, if they are happy with the state, if they are loyal with the state, everything is fine. Once there is a chaos in a state, once the people are unhappy, and if God forbid, if they start fighting against their own army because they are deprived of their fundamental rights, then where is the state and where is the national security? Nothing is. I mean, the example of Soviet Union is in front of us. They were the superpower of the world, and then they were dismembered because their people were unhappy due to that economic setbacks which Soviet Union had received during its Afghan venture, Afghan invasion, and then mobs in Russia were asking Raziq and other guys that why you have made our children suffer while fighting in Afghanistan. What was the purpose of your war? So, in dictatorial setup, we thought that Raziq and other his predecessors that they are not answerable before anyone. But that never worked. Soviet Union is now dismembered. 15 states emerged from a superpower. So the political system is a primary, a just and fair political system is a primary concern regarding our national security. We can remain an independent, united country as long as our people are happy with us. And our system is just and fair. And we can see these examples in Europe, in developed Europe, in the United States of America. They are loyal to their country because they are getting something from it. Their rights, they are getting at least. The ideal situation is in Great Britain. And in Scandinavian countries, the situation is too ideal. Because those states are truly welfare states. And people are enjoying freedom there. And we all have to make efforts to give the true meanings of freedom, because freedom does not mean lawlessness. Mostly, democracy is a compatible version of government which guarantees true freedoms. And democracy coupled with rule of law, equality before law, these ideas are, if being implemented truly, then our system works smoothly and we become secure. By misinterpreting religion or by misinterpreting nationalism to exploit our own citizens, to extend our own oppressive regimes, that wrecks the basis of the states, and that does not help in making the state secure and remain an independent entity. So I think that compatible system of government and a system compatible, uh, rather a system having incorporated compatible ideas is more workable. Say if you copy from French Constitution, British Constitution and American Constitution, it is better to copy uh, the classic example of a federation if you are a federation. Because that classic example, that system is working already there in the United States of America. So if you impose it here, in letter and spirit, you Pakistanis and Indians can also get better results. And to think of creating a new system, that is not a job of one person. I mean, we have to study our culture and everything, and then a group of people can come up, of literate people, not everybody can do that, can come up with a new system for Pakistan and India, new political system. And for that matter, large resources are required, and literate people are required. And the irony is that in India and Pakistan we have too many scientists, we have IT experts, we have people making bombs, nuclear scientists. We do have, but we don't have social scientists. We don't have literate politicians. We do have some small number of social scientists, but they are least interested in politics because once you don't have rules of the game, observing players, and the game is a rough game, then no decent or literate person will jump into such competition. And all those who are intelligent enough that they can get that much education, they can find decent places for themselves, and mostly they move towards America and Great Britain. From India and Pakistan, the literate people, they cannot live here, especially social scientists. And some of them, for their existence, they align themselves with foreign-funded groups, say Russians or socialists, Chinese socialists. They are funding their own people who are. We are having Communist Party in India, and in Pakistan we were having some socialist element. So they were funded by China and sometimes by Russia. Red salute and all that stuff is. I mean, for the economic reasons, they align themselves. They don't have the ability to come up with something new by themselves. They're dependent upon imported ideas as politicians or as political entities. Even I will say that we shall, if we are, after all, we have to have a workable system, and by mixing three different systems, French, American, and British, uh, how can we make it workable? I mean, in a federation, if our Supreme Court here in Pakistan is having no judicial power, how we can keep our federating units satisfied? Because for remedy, if there is a controversy or if there is a conflict of interest between federal units and center, obviously the Supreme Court shall decide such issues, and that is there. That provision is there in our constitution. But that power of judicial review regarding individual violations, that if individual rights, fundamental rights of the people are being violated, even for that we do have a provision in Constitution of Pakistan. We can make an appeal in Supreme Court of Pakistan, and so our system is, I mean, somewhat working, but with parliamentary form of government in a federation with majority rule, it becomes contradiction with the spirit of federalism. The true spirit of federalism is there in the United States of America. Senate is almost enjoying equal powers with lower house, and in Senate, state is whether big or small is having equal representation. Then through the power of judicial review, president as an executive head, his executive orders can be checked by Supreme Court. The majority in House of Representatives and Senate is having check of judicial review of a Supreme Court of the United States. So all those niceties, delicacies, and all that setup, that guarantees national security. If we can develop such things here, my learned friend who has raised this question, majority rule, majority's authority concept does not go hand in hand with spirit of federalism. Federation moves with checks and balances because in a federation we have small states, provinces, we have large provinces. So if we say majority is authority, then small provinces are a gone case. They will be dissatisfied finally, and it will be really, we won't be able to. And we had experienced this in 1971 when East Pakistan was dismembered. The basic problem was that in a federation that we were having that parliamentary setup, and majority rule of East Pakistanis was unacceptable to some of West Pakistanis, and that majority principle, if the election would have been, if we would have been having at that time presidential form of government, and the election would have been finalized through electoral college, then the person, the executive head of yours, would have been having support of both people of East, West Pakistan. But when we are having parliamentary form of government, our executive head, which is all powerful, the Prime Minister mostly, he represents only a constituency of his own. presidential form of government, you have to get the votes of electoral college from all the provinces of Pakistan. But as a prime minister, you are dependent upon a few thousand people of your constituency. So you don't have that much popular base as executive head. So that was the major cause of dismemberment in 1970. The idea and all those conspiracies and everything, I do agree that was there too. But actually, that problem was contradiction in your political system. That you are a federation, and you are having parliamentary form. And all those who want to please the Royal Highness in England, because we were the colonies, we were the both India and Pakistan, we were the colonies of Great Britain, and in Great Britain, that parliamentary setup is there. So mostly we are federation, but as loyal subjects of the Queen, we opt for parliamentary form of government. By this way, I think that these issues shall be discussed in media. The problem is that our people, they enjoy discussions or trivial issues, insulting each other, doing nasty things while fighting in parliament and having their news reports on media, and then discussing all that is more convenient for them than of discussing this issue, which is of fundamental importance regarding national security, concerning our national security. So existing contradictions in our political system, our discussion over it is having fundamental importance, which is never being taken so seriously by anyone in Pakistan. And the basic reason behind it is that natural sciences were our priority through long periods of dictatorship here, and social sciences were neglected. And then freedom of expression, and then adherence to in East. That is very important, what the elders had done in the past. And very few among us can realize this, that the elders, they had invested in us, in our education, because they were also looking for a change for the better. I mean, to be sticking and to be loyal to the elders, because they had introduced a parliamentary form of government, so we shall stick to that. Or their practices were, we shall always follow their practices as a symbol of loyalty to them, and we shall not deviate from the path which they had adopted in their lifetimes. All those two conservatives shall think in these terms, that the same elders had invested in our education, in education of successive generations, with the hope that we will finally come up with solid solutions. That's why investments were made into our education by the elders, in the hope that they wanted change for the better. So that argument, I think that we must stick to the path which our elders had set for us, even if that was wrong. sticking to that is a disloyalty with the elders, because they had invested in us, in our education, that one day we will become able to make everything better. So, my dear friends, I'm repeatedly saying this, that UN version of freedom, talking about it, just to infuse these ideas into minds of everyone here. And especially I think that media will stop portraying make those heroes who are deviating from the most rational and most acceptable and logical course of action, which guarantees true freedom. And they are making hero out of those who are trying to achieve uh, something else in name of freedom through bullets. Never ever any dictatorial way can guarantees or have guaranteed any freedom. So, as I say again, many times I've said this, that even with the departure of Great Britain from the subcontinent, we were further enslaved by the exploitative ideologies. Let me make it clear to everybody. Those who are loyal to ideology of Pakistan, they must know that even in secular setup, even when if we give equal rights to our minorities, the ideology of Pakistan will remain intact. Because Muslims are in majority. So when they will come into parliament, they will legislate as a majority here, and they will preserve the Islamic way of living and the good things which Islam teaches us. So even in a secular setup, there is no danger to Islam. And as we have seen, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah in his lifetime has inducted Sir Jogendranath Mandal as his minister, Sir Zafarullah Khan as his minister, and even the learned ulama, the religious scholars of his times, they were having no objection. And in one of his speeches, he has said this categorically, that state has nothing to do with religion. And he was brilliant, because when state starts sponsoring a specific religion, then definitely conflict arise. In secular setup, the way Qaid-e-Azam was doing things, he was guaranteeing religious freedom to all. Thus was paving for the way for unity among us. But all those who are misinterpreting him, and those who are misinterpreting ideology of Pakistan, that only through authoritarian way Islam can be imposed. Islam is a modern religion. It has too many good things in it. So it will remain attractive to everyone. So nobody can be, Uh, the contractors, those who think that they are the sole uh, harbingers of religion here, and what they say is right, mostly they are involved in exploitation of people in the name of religion. What Quaid was doing, that was right. Not only he had served the religion, ideology of Pakistan by inducting everyone and by giving equal rights to all the minorities and the majority as well. That is the way of doing things that is being done in the United States of America. That is a truly secular country. State sponsors no religion, but it also guarantees religious freedom to everyone and also gives equal rights to all the citizens. Well, the exceptions are there, and still people in the United States of America are fighting for, especially women folk. They are fighting for equal rights there, and their struggle is not ended yet. Because in jobs, the salaries in that the salary aspect is discriminatory. Women are paid less than men. They're struggling, but the field is open for them. I mean, in a secular setup, they can struggle for their rights. Everyone that African Americans, they have succeeded to end discriminations in a secular setup. So it has secularism has nothing to do with infidelity. I mean, in the United States of America, even on currency notes, it is being written that we believe in God. On dollar, it is being written. So secularism, and there is a difference between secularism and communism. Communism makes you atheist or infidel. You don't believe in any God if you become a communist. I think I have said enough about all the issues raised by my great friends. And I hope that my sayings in good faith. And one thing I want to clarify and repeat again, that not a single person can be achieved, neither me nor anybody else. The Constitution is a chain, a binding force between all the provinces of Pakistan. Same is the case with India and of any other country in the world. And the second thing is that if we are journalists or politicians, we are here to serve our people. And might be our ideas are different, our thinking is different, our level of education is different. But we are the citizens of the same country and we love each other. And we respect the rights of each other. And we let each other do their duties as well. And we shall not infringe upon those rights and duties of our citizens, fellow citizens, because they do have ideology different than us, thinking different than us, or level of education different than us. That spirit, this spirit exists in the United States of America, Great Britain, in developed West, in Scandinavian countries. Politicians during elections, they contradict each other, they make points against each other. But mostly their focus is the programs, not personalities. So when they criticize the programs of each other, if there are some drawbacks that can be corrected. And by this way, they move forward. But here, getting personal or being inimical to each other as politicians, or politicians become enemies of journalists because their point of view is different. That is not a very good situation, and I think that we must learn how to live together in peace, and we shall recognize the services of each other. We shall respect the points of view of each other. As fellow citizens, we must all love each other. That love shall extend to the rest of the world too, because the humanity is at stake now. The people are making efforts regarding globalization, and I by myself am part of that effort because graduate in international relations. I do also plead for better world, more peaceful international system. So, with these words, that I wish all of you all the best. I am going to end this talk. All the best once again.